Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Tick, Season 1, Episode 2. It's called Where's My Mind? There will be full spoilers in a minute, but just before we get there, I just wanted to set up the stage here because we reviewed the first episode of this a year ago. This was Amazon do their pilot season where they put out the first episodes of some of their shows early, like before they even make any more, with the intention being that, oh, we'll see how this does, and like if people like it they can vote and then we'll make it. And this one's like, we did the pilots for this pilot season, at least two of them, and this is the first time I've experienced like coming back a year later, and it is kind of this weird surreal
It is
thing.
almost exactly a year as well. It's like a week over.
Yeah, it was last August, and so we reviewed the first episode a year ago, so that's there. I did rewatch the pilot earlier today, in preparation of this because I really couldn't remember a whole lot beyond the broad strokes. Connor did not rewatch the pilot.
I didn't have time. I was hoping that it would catch me up, knowing that a lot of people would have watched it a year ago. Or even if not a year ago, at any point in the last year.
We had a relatively heated debate about that a little bit earlier. I don't think they should feel required to do so because it is a streaming service and the entire series is there for anyone who wants to go back and watch the first one
And
right now.
my opinion is that they made the rest of the season knowing that a bunch of people had already watched the first one. So they should probably accommodate for people who aren't going to watch it again, which is probably quite a lot of people.
I think you're overestimating the amount of people who watch the pilot season stuff. I think you really are. I think a lot of people don't even know this exists until it's a full series because they don't
Maybe.
advertise the pilot season the same way as they do
Maybe.
this. I remember the last pilot season. I actually had to go hunting to find them. Like there wasn't really much
Yeah.
advertising them.
Well, I don't have Amazon's numbers. I don't know on that.
Yeah. I don't think because the first episode's always there. You can go back and watch it anytime, and I really feel like there's no rule that says you don't have to go back and watch it. Like if you were watching like a new season of any other show, you wouldn't hold it against them if you felt that you'd forgotten too much from the previous season. It's not really on them. So it's weird. I mean, I admittedly don't think they should do the pilot season thing. I think they should just make their own goddamn decisions and make the show and give it
Yeah.
to us the way that Netflix do or the way anyone else does. But I wouldn't want episode 2 to feel beholden to have to catch up people who may have watched the first episode a year ago. I don't think I think in the long run that just harms that episode because they feel the need to do that. Whereas, like, because for the rest of its life, it's always going to be there. Anyone who stumbles upon it now, from this day forth, they'll watch it
Yeah.
one then two, if they like the first one. And if you like the first one, I don't see why you'd feel so opposed to maybe giving it another go. I mean, yeah, we're reviewing it, so we feel that let's go do it too. Let's get that done right away. But for most people, it's like, well, no, if you want to watch it, then just watch the first one again first. It's not a big deal. So anyway, so full spoilers from this point on. We did like the first episode when we watched it last year. We were quite into it, and we were looking forward to checking out more of it. It is worth mentioning the entire first season did not go up. They've split it into two. Up to episode 6 has went up today, and the rest of the season will go up sometime in early 2018. They have this.
Is that not a full season, this sixth, then?
No, this is part 1 of season 1.
Okay.
Do you not know that? But I'm sure we talked about that in the
I
news.
think we did, but I've
Yeah.
forgotten. And I just saw six. It just said season. Because
No.
on Amazon's page, it doesn't say part one. It just says season one, 1 to 6.
I don't think it would. It was just because earlier today when I watched the pilot again, it was just the one episode that was there. So I imagine it'll just be the other 6 will add in, and
Yeah.
it'll just maybe advertise. It'll say new episodes like come, whenever it goes up.
Right.
But no, this is just the first half of season 1.
It'd be very interesting then to see if 6 feels like a natural breaking point.
I don't think it will.
Okay.
At least, it may have a cliffhanger, so it might feel like, oh, okay, it's a natural kind of point to leave it on. But just based on the fact that Netflix recently split their Voltron season, and admittedly they didn't split it. They decided we're going to do shorter seasons that are half the length each. And from the people who have watched, I asked them, oh, did the end of this season 3, I think it is, did that feel like it was like the conclusion to a season, or did it just feel like it was split halfway down the middle? And they actually marked that as 2 separate seasons, and they said, no, it feels like the middle of a season, and they just split it up. Now, admittedly, I know that's different creators, it's a different platform.
Also, I think that
but
decision was made quite late.
probably,
So going
yeah.
forwards, it might feel like
especially
shorter seasons.
especially given that this is Netflix are the same company who put out that Castlevania series, which was clearly a movie at first and split into 4 episodes. So they're clearly not opposed to doing that kind of thing late in the game. But that said, I mean, whatever. I guess the decision here was, oh, it's been so long since the first episode went out. They want to have it up. It's taken a bit longer because, I mean, arguably this has a lot more effects work in it than some other of their other shows. Maybe that's why it's taken a bit longer to shoot. They thought, okay, we'll split it in two, give them the first half year, and when the second half's ready, in a few months' time, whenever it may be.
I get that. You want to. I mean, it's been a full year and we've had nothing.
They don't want the buzz to die down too much. They want to reignite it. So here we are. We got the first half of season 1. So this is going to be the episode 2 review, obviously. Now, obviously, I don't usually give as much an introduction to an episode 2 review, but this is a weird circumstance where it's been a year since episode 1, and you might just be coming to check this out. Like, you might not know we reviewed the first episode because it's been a year. So the review is there. You can go check it. And this is in a weird situation because normally we remember what we said on the previous episode review, unless it's maybe between seasons, because that's a different beast. But it's kind of weird that I have no idea what I said.
We've never gone so long between 2 episodes of anything. Like even when we do full seasons, it's rarely a full year.
There are some examples. Yeah, I mean, Better Call Saul was a full year between seasons there.
Oh, okay.
Westworld, when the next season comes out, will be more than a year.
When it will, that will be.
Stranger Things will be more than a year. So there's a lot of examples, but at least when it's between seasons, there's a natural kind of like, okay, this is where you stop for a while. And
yeah, it's expected you to pick up again at the end. It's expected you've had a break.
The pilot to this, for example, ended on a cliffhanger, which I didn't remember. So when I watched it again earlier today, I was like, oh, that was a cliffhanger where someone was about to get shot. Oh my, I'm excited to see how that turns out now. And sure enough, the episode's kicks right in, and although one change that two changes that have happened. One's they're both stylistically, but one's a practical thing, the other one's a shooting thing. The aspect ratio has changed from episode 1. The first episode had a full sort of movie wide 2.40 to 1.
I remember that. Do you know why I remember that? It's because you went on about it, as always.
I probably did, because I thought it was cool to get that in a TV show. So I'm a little disappointed they don't have it anymore. That said, they've went with the more what I'll call the Netflix ratio. Of the roughly 2.00 to 1. It's probably not exactly what it is, but it's around in that area. And it looks good. It still looks good. I think the show still has a good look to it. Also, the tech suits changed. That's the other thing they've altered. And I guess that's just one of these weird things with doing the pilot early and then making some decisions based on how they felt.
Right. It is addressed.
It actually is. There's a little meta joke where he says, "You look different," as if so they acknowledge that it is different. I kind of preferred the first one, if I'm honest. The first suit. I don't know why. I think this one's just a bit cheaper. Even though the last one was kind of stiff and it was this, like, everything was rubber. This one's got more like, it's kind of like there's bits of fabric at the neck and the joints to make it a bit more emotive.
I kind of liked the bulkiness of the last one. It kind of played into the goofiness of the show,
of
his character.
It played into the goofy 90s superhero sort of tone that it was going for. Whereas this one, I mean, it still works, but it's just
it's fine. It's just a letdown, isn't it?
It came across as a bit more of a practical thing. That said, I really enjoyed this episode, so that's kind of where my complaints honestly end.
Yeah, I had fun with it.
I dig the characters. I think they're all incredibly likeable. I remember the one thing I do remember talking about actually when we did the pilot was there was speculation as to whether the tick was inside Arthur's head.
Yes.
And it felt like it was playing it like both sides of the coin, because there were scenes where I was like, no, this feels like it's in his head, and those other scenes like, no, it doesn't quite add up if it's in his head. And then again in this episode they play with that. It's like, the villains are acting as if there's someone there, but then there's that scene where he like disappears when the shop owner's talking to him. It's like, wait, this feels like
and he's wearing a blue poncho, and it's like,
And then and obviously there's the flashback in the first episode to when he's a kid after the tragedy of his father dying happened. And it's like he's hearing this voice, and the tick actually says, "I've always been there since the beginning." What does he mean by that? If obviously, I'm curious what he did mean by that. Now that we've confirmed that he is in fact actually there.
Yes.
But they had fun with that because Arthur thinks he's not there. He thinks he's going crazy, and his sister shows up, and he talks about, I'm seeing things, and the tick says, "Oh, shut up! She can't see you." And I'm like, "Oh, she does. This is going to be a joke." He's like, "I can see him." And I'm like, nicely played. Yeah.
And I'm glad they didn't play this out too long.
Yeah, because I could have seen them going all season with this.
That's it, because it was so heavy-handed with it. it could get old really quickly
It
if
could.
you're like, oh, is he or isn't he? Because when it's more subtle, it's fine, but they were being very intentionally
Yeah.
obvious with it.
Another small touch was when he flips the car. Like he's just talking to Arthur. It's like the criminals in the car. But when the tick flips the car, it's from the same side. Like he's standing right next to him. So again, it's like if Arthur is secretly just got all these powers and it's secretly him, but his mind's like split him into two.
Mm.
Like again, it plays with that idea. But so it confirms it's not, and it has a good joke out of it.
It was interesting because the episode opens with the villains and they're like it kind of tells you then that they can see him because they address him separately, and I was like, oh, okay. I at that point I thought, oh, we're done with the whole it's in his head thing. Like maybe they just change their minds in the production, because it'd been so long between episodes. Thought maybe they just changed their mind and goes, we don't really want to go down that.
Oh, I
plot
never
anymore.
thought that because there was scenes in the first episode as well. Because again, I rewatched that today, so
Right.
that's just your memory playing.
Right, no,
Yeah.
it's because I remembered them playing with it in the first episode, but when here it felt like really definitive, like straight off the bat. Obviously, it played with it a bit more than into the episode, so I kind of went,
See,
okay,
but
maybe
even-
not.
see, once you got the rest of it though, and I thought back to that opening scene, I'm like, it still wasn't that. Like it was kind of like they played it as if they did look over and refer to it as someone else, but at the same time, you could almost go back and go, no, they're actually just saying to him, "Who are you?" Like because they still don't know who he is. Like I think it's on the line just enough. And again, it was like the first episode. It's very intentional, where it's on the line,
Yeah.
and he's like, you could justify why they're saying it one way or the other, but it could go either way. They could have revealed it in either side, and I would have bought that opening scene based on what they showed. But of course they confirm it, and they have the sister show up, and they have the fun moment out of it. I like his sister a lot, actually. I think she's likable, and it does a little bit more with her in this episode, where we know she's like a paramedic, and she's friendly with this guy who has ties to criminals because he gets her to patch them up. He's like, oh yeah, these guys have got like ricocheted bullets, like. And interestingly, one of the actors, the guy the main one who's with the big frizzy hair, he actually was in the first episode at that scene, like, which is the sort of thing you'd have never remembered probably if you hadn't watched it in a while.
much.
But no, so the same actor, the continuity's there. I get to say the only thing really that's not there continuity wise is the suit's changed a bit, but again they make a joke out of it, so whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, and that's one that would work better if he had been in his head.
Yeah.
But here it's like, okay, what is the reason for that? They make a joke out of it, but
Oh, there isn't a reason. It's just a production thing. They wanted to change the suit, and they just thought they'd put in
Right.
a little meta joke where the character notices it.
right. I don't know.
I think
Bothers me
it's
a little
fine. It's just a little joke. Like this is the type of show with the type of humor that can get away with just cracking a little joke like that.
They can, but it still bothers me just a bit. It's like, but why is it different?
It doesn't.
I need
why,
reasons.
Why do you care? No, you don't. You don't need a reason for that.
All right, I don't need. I want reasons. Is that better?
This isn't Breaking Bad. I don't need I don't need this explained.
No.
The style it's going for, it fits well within the style. I like the action a lot. I think Miss Lint, her name is with the eye, and she's got the electric powers. Like I thought that looked good, and when Arthur goes when the tick throws him out the window for his own safety, and he survives the fall in his like fancy suit that he's got from the bad guys. All that was good fun. I liked Arthur's reacting to everything. Like he's just like. I never felt like he broke into like anything but what he was, which he was always this frantic guy who was worried he was kind of losing his head and he was out of his element. So as much as he wants to look into this stuff, he feels like I'm out my depth.
What the hell's going on? This can't be real.
Yeah. In fact, I really liked when he explains his backstory to the tick about the terror like landed the ship on his dad and all that, and he's like, but this is your origin, this is great, this is destiny, which is what the Tick's big thing. He's constantly talking about listening to destiny. Like, destiny's what brought him to Arthur, what brought him to everything else. Like, alright, what's the plan? You're the brains, I'm everything else. That was one of his lines in the first episode. So, I don't know, I liked all that stuff. So, we had a bit more Miss Lynch. She got a flashback as well to with the terror, and we see, and obviously he's still alive. It was like, we're supposed to believe that Superior killed him, right? But we don't. We keep talking about how he's still, and obviously Arthur believes that because he's looking for him. Like he could have been tricked. But again, we're showing how he affected different people. We see Miss Lint's flashback to when she was a little bit different. She didn't like the name Lint. Like that's his advice. Like you own that name, you take it, you make that your thing. And he's like, dress in black, you look kind of stupid, and all these things. Like, you don't kill people because they call you names. You kill people because it's fun.
It's good advice.
In part. But no, I'm digging Jackie Earl Haley's goofy, over the top villain. I'm liking her as the kind of the over the top henchman. Uh,
Yeah.
so all those elements are in play. Those are quite good. Um, but I think the heart of the show, which is really working for me, is the brother sister relationship, and then obviously the tick to add on to that, where he's kind of this blue embodiment of like what he's going through. And it's kind of
Yes.
like it's like everything Arthur ever kind of wanted to be in a weird way, but now that it's actually here, he can't actually accept it because it's his own anxiety that's telling him that no, I can't do this. And to be fair, like everyone around him, his whole life's told him, no, you don't do this kind of thing. You be normal. Don't.
Yeah. The sister's like, you off your meds again.
Yeah, basically. But I think that's ultimately what the message of the show's going to be. It's like, don't just be normal because everyone tells you to be normal. Like,
Right.
as long as you're not being bad about something, but if your intentions are good, and this is obviously an extreme example where he's out, helping crime fighting, which I'm not saying everyone should do that, but just that core message of no, don't just be what everyone else expects you to be. If you're
Yeah.
quirky, if you're unique, if you do all these things, be those things. And the tick's kind of there to show him that no, you can be these things. Why not do these things?
Yes, in all his goofy glory.
Yeah, and he's Peter Saravinovich. I just said it really quickly because
You're never going to say that name right, are you?
Peter Sarafinovich.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, his voice is still great, by the way.
It
I
is.
am the Tick, like the really over the top comic book voice.
He's a very underrated actor, I think.
Ah, he's good. It's funny because I don't think I've ever seen him star in something. Like he's always like the first thing I think of is the roommate in Shaun of the Dead. Like
Yeah.
that's what I think of first.
I guess more recently people think of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's the one who's like, who are these assholes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he often has these kind of side parts, but very funny.
Yeah. It's actually nice to see him get more of a starring role, and
Yeah.
it's something that lends to his like sort of big cartoony personality. But I think ultimately the show will actually have a nice heart to it, which I really appreciate. I think it's what I really appreciate about the pilot as well. But the characters feel a bit more real. It's like it's being very silly, but it's playing it fairly straight as well. There's a level of seriousness it's taking with it, not too much, but
Yeah.
enough to actually care about the characters and what's going on and what.
Well, that's it. The character drama is very real and relatable. It's just then the superhero stuff is over the top, and it really
Yeah.
juxtaposes nicely.
And that's what works, and that's why I think I like the relationship between the brother and sister. I think Arthur and Dot are, like, they're both really likable characters, and you can tell she's just really worried about him. The fact that she blew off like a test, or midterms, I think her friend says,
Yeah.
to go and help her brother. You see that she really cares about him, and they have this relationship. And it's funny. I wonder if the mother will come into it because she was referenced in the first episode, but obviously the dad's dead. But like, whoa, was the mother like a big part of like, telling him that he shouldn't be weird like all his life? Like you should be this. Like, is she like a negative force in his life? Is she a positive force? I'm curious to see. But no, a lot of it's working for me. I'm digging it.
Yeah, that's it. It's obviously it's not super deep or anything, but it's a lot of fun.
I think it's deeper than you give him credit for with that statement.
I think it will be deep by the end once it pays off. I think right now it's not yet. It's kind of okay. It's just at the setup.
I can see what it's playing with already, though. I think it's really
Yeah.
playing with its own themes already, and I appreciate that. I think it's like, yeah, this is a silly superhero thing, but it's actually got something to say about what it's doing, rather than just it's just be silly for the sake of being silly.
Right.
Like there's a core character arc story being told there,
Yeah,
which I think is good. And obviously what we have glossed over is a sniper who's like we see him a few times throughout the episode, and at the end the bad guys like corner Arthur in an alleyway and the sniper comes in and we get some proper gore. But that's one thing, I don't know if it was in the first episode, but there was an F-bomb in this which really made me laugh. Like Miss Lint goes to Ramsey? I think it was Ramsey. Yeah,
Ramses because it's Egyptian.
There you go. That makes sense. Aye. And he's like he's higher up because he actually thinks the terror's dead. So the villains even think he's dead, which is maybe something that's worth mentioning. But she's having this problem, like, because our metal armband thing's been like damaged, and that's what grounds her. She's having this trouble where she keeps like sparking the door when she's trying to like touch the metal handle to get out the car, and he just tells her to F off. And it's a very sort of nonchalant, it's like, oh, is that what's wrong? F off. Like he's just, and he takes a swig of his drink. But so this sniper jumps down and he starts just like slashing throats left and right. There's just blood spurting everywhere. Like it's a good job he's wearing that poncho. Actually, Arthur's poncho is covered in blood.
Come in handy, innit?
Yeah. So I like this. I like that. As wacky as it is, it actually can go to a sort of not dark place, but it can play with the violence and it can play with some occasional swear
Like I say, I don't
stuff.
remember a lot of the details from the first episode, but
Yeah.
that was the thing I remember from that. Where it was kind of fun, it was goofy, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we've got some action as well.
Oh yeah, because the first one I had the scene of him like going through the warehouse and he was getting shot
Right.
and he was just
That's
like.
it.
But that was even still kind of cartoony because it was just like bonking. It was still fun, but it was just like bonking him on the head. Where
Yeah,
it's nice
but
that the
it
villains.
was some well shot
Yeah.
action.
Whereas here the villains. Yeah, I thought that was fun. I thought they're pushing the car down the hill. I thought that looked good.
Mm.
I thought all the action moments actually played quite well. I think that'll be maybe what breaks this show and maybe like stops it from getting renewed is that the budget's maybe a bit higher than what a show like this would be. But then again, as we've seen with other shows like between Amazon and Netflix, like Comrade Detective, where it's kind of a comedy, but it's sometimes it'll be longer than the 30 minutes and it takes itself seriously and it's got action scenes that are actually kind of fun, or even something like Dear White People. Yeah, it's a comedy, but it's actually not. It's not a sitcom. It's actually got a good bit of drama and it's
Right. But this is definitely the most expensive of all those, I think.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
I'd have thought so, just based purely on just effects and everything alone.
So far, I think there might be some, but I just think it's interesting though that Netflix and Amazon have really like dove into this kind of in the middle. There's like you think of a half-hour comedy or a hour-long drama, but this is kind of like a weird mix of the run times and a weird mix of the.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It's interesting because typically with sitcoms we'd review the first episode and we wouldn't do any more, but there's merit in doing it because there's a plot, there's character arcs, there's drama, there's reasons to talk about it. So, but no,
I'm looking forward to watching more.
I am. We will be going one a day as we try to do with these binge. Sometimes we speed up a little bit and we get a wee bit more done, but at the very least you could expect one a day. So. That has been episode 2 of The Tick. Let us know what you thought of the episode, and episode 1 as well, by all means. And obviously, if you're jumping back in here, and you or yourself are struggling to remember the first episode, go back and watch the first one, or go back and watch our first review. I'm sure we talked about everything in the review as well. But yeah, so that is episode 2. Connor's holding back hiccups. He has chronic hiccups. Everyone's video is their first, every video is someone's first video from the channel. So
there we go.
Connor has chronic hiccups and occasionally has to fight them back and he makes weird noises like that. It's annoying, I know. I put up with it, so can you. So that's episode 2. Let us know what you thought in the comments, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there and get some bonuses as a result. But that is us, so thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?